Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boycott Keelings stream. Scumbags who should be made to feel the consequences of their actions. Boycott Keelings, Chopper says. Yeah, it was broccoli nationalism yesterday. Now we're talking strawberries. So I have a few bits. Whoops. And bear with me because I was streaming a while ago with the great Simon Harris, not the Minister for Health, the other one, the cool Simon Harris. So I I didn't get time. So there's an interesting post here. I just want to go through it. For those of you who've kind of seen this stuff, it's good to just organize it in one place. And also if you strawberry slaves forever, yeah. If you found anything online on Twitter or wherever that could be of interest, just pop it in the chat there, and I'll open it up. I'll just try to get everything we know as of yet in one place. So coming from the great Gran Torino here, he's just posted this Facebook post that has been going around. So it's this Pamela Flynn. I work for Ryanair. We had a charter flight yesterday out from Dublin to Sofia, Bulgaria. The flight was chartered by and paid for by Keelings in St. Margaret's, County Dublin. The flight flew out from Dublin empty and came back with a full complement of passengers, 189 in total. There was no social distancing on board, putting all the cabin crew at risk. There was also 200 bags in the hold of the aircraft, putting the ground handling agents at risk. All passengers on board were holding letters from Keelings. Their Keelings letter. It's such a slave plantation, isn't it? Like, just brandishing their letter. A lot of them won't speak English. It just kills me that these. And by the way, if you want to put the names of the people who own Keelings, because you have to put their names and faces everywhere, whoever they are, I don't know yet. Whoever. But they're obviously rich and they're posh and they're powerful. Imagine these scumbags looking for efficiency, basically, and these poor immigrants getting off the plane. And I'm not like a bleeding heart, but it's undignified. Like, it's better just not to have this option available to them. It's not nice to just use them. I know they're willing to do it because they're stuck, but like to just be like, yeah, we just want to bring you in on a plane and use you for this really tough labor and pay you fuck all, or very little, excuse me. And then just, although it probably is a pathway for them to be in Ireland permanently. If they want, they could probably get a visa or do this one way or another, become Irish residents, right? But still, I just don't like doing it. It's embarrassing. It's for the same reason I wouldn't have a house cleaner. I just couldn't, I'd feel awkward about it. Whatever that awkwardness is, applies to this too. It's like, no, well, let's just pick our own strawberries, right? If we can get to it. So anyway, holding letters from Keelings stating they were coming to start work picking strawberries for them. Bear in mind, this is during a pandemic, right? It's insane. Keep telling yourself that in case you forget. We're in a lockdown for a pandemic. And we are bringing in a plane full of people, specially hired, chartered plane, to pick some strawberries. That's how desperate the situation has gotten. That's how contorted our, I saw someone on Twitter earlier say Gombinomics. That's how convoluted Gombinomics has become. Unreal. Etc. Member of staff, she finds it disturbing, extra stress we should not have to deal with in this time of COVID-19. I alone have a wife and kids. Say what? Why does Pamela have a wife and kids? Is this progressiveness happening? Am I misreading it? I alone have a wife and kids and an elderly mother that I can pass COVID-19 to without knowing. Blah, 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 etc. Sorry, I had no disrespect to this woman, but it's that kind of thing. She's given out about it, right? You can see it there. Serena Irvine. Hi, Serena. I saw your picture earlier on Twitter. Grow your own strawberries and blackberries and whatever. It's not that hard. I grew strawberries in a. They're pretty straightforward. Just a bit of sunlight and some water and some seeds. So that's Pamela, right? I'm just going to fly through the stuff here. I want to figure out what's up with all of this. We have video here of them arriving. And I'd say we're going to be back to the old story here where the audio doesn't work. It's working for me.
That's mad, isn't it? Ridiculous. Fucking joke. Get the fuck out of here. That is disgusting, isn't it?
Okay, so you can hear it. Basically, it's a disgrace. It is a disgrace. It's unreal. So I went to what's the best like Garda interaction I've had? I was skipping like a boxer, and the guard came up to me and said, kind of gave me the eye, and I went. Basically, they just said, "Keep going," which is unbelievable. So I'm like, "What if I can't? What if I can't? Can I take a break? Do I have to have a heart attack? Do I have to pass out? Do I have to? How high does my heart rate need to be, officer, for me to stay out?" Gets a stopwatch out. But it's that level of stuff, which like on one end I can accept to a certain extent, to a certain point, but not when you have 160 odd, and there's more coming. Obviously, we've heard about 1,500. I cannot abide those conditions being placed on me when we have a bunch of posh fuckers. Excuse my language. I'm fired up. Alex Jones style. So these posh people bringing in their slaves, basically, right? We need to cut around everything else and just accept it. What you were talking about is a slave situation, because it just is. Like, not literally. Someone can define what a slave technically is for me. I suppose it's the idea of not being consensual or whatever, but yeah, Graham Reardon says I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm sorry, terrible altogether. So, yeah, it's basically slaves. The idea of people who don't look you in the eye, who don't speak, who don't give you trouble, you can just take them on and off like bags of potatoes. And you have to have no respect for them, and they have no power over you. The idea that you have an employee who has zero power, and they are just an automaton, like a robot, for you to get your stuff done efficiently. A horticultural expert specialist. You will see more of this now in a sec. So, Keelings. The website crashed because they were getting roasted by everybody, I think, or they were just having too much traffic on their website because the Irish people are outraged. The Irish people are pissed off at these traitorous slave, I don't know. I feel like they'll sue me now if I call them slave drivers. It's a figure of speech, okay? We all know what they are. So people have mobbed them. I think they're trending #1 on Twitter now. Deservedly so. And everybody is pissed off. Every Irish person, I think, down to a man. Unless you're working for an NGO or the like Irish Business Association or whatever. Then you're pissed off and you're annoyed. It is the most caricatured, surreal, hyper real, hyper whatever instance I've seen of this since I've been aware of this kind of stuff. Unreal. It's surreal is the only word. You have to break it down. Pandemic, strawberries, Bulgarians, chartered planes. I have to keep saying it. I'm sorry. So that's website down. Let's find, my tabs are all over the place here. Let's find their statement. I don't have it, do I? I'm sure I do have it somewhere. There we go. Statement from Keelings today. because their website crashed. I have to lean in a bit here because we can confirm that the number of skilled horticulture staff to pick strawberries. Actually, there's a tweet here which is brilliant from someone. That's WhatsApp, is it? Something's making a noise. Anyway, someone tweeted this a while ago. Years ago, every kid in North Dublin picked fruit till they picked fruit. They all need to call themselves horticulturalists now. Shame on you, Keelings, off my shopping list. I'm sure I've picked strawberries at some point. So we're all horticulturists now, anyway. Skilled horticultural workers. We can confirm that what number of skilled horticulture staff have returned to Ireland to work with Keelings. We are also recruiting for local workers to join us in picking our crops on the farm, along with other roles in the Keeling business. Now, I was looking at Irish jobs. Who knows? Maybe this is who knows what this is, but we have packaging controller. Is that a picker? HR generalist. Is that a picker? Floor planner? Warehouse operative? I don't know. And how much are they paying? Anyway, because clearly if they were paying enough, then you wouldn't need to fly like some kind of special military operation. Charter fly hundreds of people across Europe during a pandemic. Then you wouldn't have to do that, right? There's a certain amount you can pay people where it works. And you know what happens if that has a knock-on effect on your business. Strawberries just cost more this year. End of story, right? You take a hit, whatever. It's your problem, right? It's not ours. I love this. So picking your crops on the farm. Yeah, so it is essential that we have an adequate staffing on the farm to pick crops quickly as they ripen, or we risk shortages in the market. The Keeling family is very proud of our amazing team of people who are all working very hard and delivering on our responsibility to ensure that a full supply of fresh fruit and veg for everybody. Sorry, I'm reading slow tonight. Across our entire business, we have also worked tirelessly to implement the HSE and government guidelines to ensure that we are protecting the health of all our people. This includes thorough and repeated COVID-19 safety coaching and instruction to follow all of the HSE guidelines, which includes 14 days of restricted movement for any new arrivals to the country prior to starting work in Keelings. Now, whether they were going to do this all along, whether they're just saying they'll do it now, or whether they're not even doing it now, who knows, right? But let's assume they are, because they say they are. Okay, so they have to spend 14 days in isolation before they start picking strawberries. Right. And then I assume you're going to have to pay them for these 14 days, right? Because you kind of have to do that much at least. So you're paying them for 14 dead days. And you're also paying for a charter flight from Bulgaria, which I'm sure costs quite a bit. I don't know how it's worked out, but either way, that ends up costing money. And then all of the HSC lessons, what were they saying? COVID-19 safety coaching and instruction repeated. All the cost and all the work and all the effort to make this happen. Can we not just get Irish people to pick these strawberries? Can we not just pay people more? Right? And they have to, I'm sure they have to house these guys as well. So it's just incredible to me. So anyway, what else have they got to say? A very important part of our workforce for many years has been our skilled seasonal workers. Skilled seasonal workers. That is the new euphemism. That is the new dog whistle. What did we have before? We had give me some euphemisms in the chat there. Skilled and trained journalists. Only trust skilled and trained. And now it's like, same thing here. Skilled seasonal workers. Gotta love it. Who return to us. I like the way they say return to us, like they're coming home. They return to us. Oh, we love having them around the house. They're welcome. No, these people are anonymous, obviously, to the owners of this place. Who return to us. It's very friendly, sugary language there. to help pick our fruit and manage our plant health. Without these seasonal workers, it would be impossible to bring fresh Irish strawberries to the Irish market. It would be impossible. I mean, I shouldn't have to go on with this, but like, how would it be impossible? How would it be impossible to, like, there was a time when they said maybe going to the moon is impossible, maybe in like 1850, and someone said, well, actually, I think you could. Like, you could say something is like, you have to go. Something has to be a big deal to say it's impossible. To say that a bunch of strawberries can't get picked off the plants, they just can't. There's no so. And if you were to say, well, we could do this, 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 and this to just get them picked, right? Switch around the rules and pay people more and stuff like that. And they would say, that's just way too much logistical messing with the kind of program of things. It just wouldn't be possible. Meanwhile, you can fill a plane full of Bulgarians in the middle of a pandemic where you're not meant to go 2 kilometers from your house, but you can fill a plane full of Bulgarians. Planes full of Bulgarians and come here. That is something that doesn't shock the program. That is doable. That is practical. That is whatever. But everything else, impossible. Couldn't get those strawberries off. This shows how addicted these people are to their migrant slave-esque labor. They are addicted to it. They don't know any other model but the slave model. They only know how to run that type of plantation. And that's where it's at. They're addicted to it. It is all they know. They don't know how to engage with Irish society properly. To say it's like what did I was watching a documentary the other night, and someone used a figure of speech saying, "You have to rub the donkey the way the hair grows." I don't know why I'm bringing this up. What I'm saying is that they're so used to this cheap, pliable, slave-esque migrant labor. That it's so easy and it's so pliable and so disposable and so cheap. They don't know how to deal with Irish labor, which they kind of glibly dismiss as they don't want to do it. It's too much dirty work for them. They this, that, and the other, right? It's like, no. You've just forgotten how to excel as a company in terms of treating employees very well and actually sharing enough of your, let's have a look. This is from 2013, so this is ages ago. Ireland's largest horticultural business, turning over 300 million, right? That's 2013. So that's ages ago. They probably make much more now. So they're making hundreds of millions, right? Turnover, profit, whatever way you look at it, they're making lots and lots and lots of money for a rather simple industry, ultimately, right? It's not, it doesn't have to be that innovative. You could argue with that, but whatever. They're so dependent on that labor that they don't know. They're unable, like I said, to rub the donkey the way the hair grows. To say Irish labor is more difficult. It's basically like you having an employer that wrings you out for your labor much more. They keep you busy every minute of the day. They get the best out of you. It can be hard, whatever, and you have an employer who just gets every last drop out of you, right? Whereas some employers might let you slack. It's the same in the other direction. The employers that are Keelings like to have an employee base who they, from their perspective, they can be very lax in their standards because they just have a bunch of what they see as effectively cattle who will just go around and pick their stuff, right? And who just disappear off the face of the earth after, whatever, right? Whereas if they had Irish staff, it would be a constant drag. We have to treat them better. We have to share more of our profits and wages, and they're just such a drag. So they've gotten so unused to it, they don't know how to come back to my donkey analogy, they don't know how to rub that particular donkey the way the hair grows. They don't know anymore. It's too logistically, they wouldn't know how to deal with what they would call a difficult and a kind of a hard to find Irish labor force. They've just completely abandoned Irish labor to the point where even in this circumstance, they don't know what to do. They don't know. I'm sure they do know. They know. Pay people more. Go, okay, this is a special year. Keelings has probably built up a shitload of because they have other businesses outside of this in China and everywhere. So I'm sure what their piggy bank is pretty large at this point, right? Not to mind revenue happening this year or whatever, but just their piggy bank. I mean, yeah. And if they need to loan or if they need to figure it out like everybody else. This year you go, we have a crisis. We're finding it very hard to pick our crop. And if we need to like take a loss this year or whatever we need to do, if we need to shell out big time for staff just to get some Irish people, please, I'll pay you way more than you should be getting paid for this. You know, just come on down and think of all the unemployed people. If there was a nice, spicy wage there for you, you'd go, okay, fine. And you know what? Not only do I want the wage, but I don't want these like ridiculously long days and terrible conditions and just being treated badly and poorly and all of this. I want to be treated well. And so you basically make me an offer I can't refuse. Make it a fair day, a fair amount of labor and a fair wage, and then I'll do it. But they, like I say, they don't know. They're rabbit in the headlights. They only know this kind of handy, cheap foreign labor. Disgusting. And this, of course, for Keelings who might have some solicitors or something who like are overly, zealous. This is my opinion, right? This is my opinion observing a public company. That's my take on them. You at home can judge for yourself looking at all of this. So what else have we got? That's Keelings. That's where they're at. We have some reviews, and these aren't posted as some response to what's going on now. These are, as you can see, 31st of January 2018. I've never had a job as bad. A lot of racism towards Irish people, and all managers are European and very much take care of their own. Glad to be out of it. Anti-Irish racism, lads. And now what they're doing is let's not forget the aspect that bringing these people in, well, we're all diligently, obediently under lockdown. We're respecting it as a collective. We're saying we want to do it for each other. We're not just doing it because we're being told to. We're trying to do it for each other, guys. Here, that's what we're trying to do. And then we bring in hundreds of Bulgarians who are, like you can see, by the way, Keelings are clearly lying if this video is anything to go by. Because this doesn't look like a
fucking joke.
They're just strolling in, right? They're all packed up. And to my point. So yeah, they're also putting us at risk. That's the other aspect. There's the employment and labor thing. There's the actual pandemic, healthcare crisis, risk. Silly. So anti-Irish racism. We also have no good to work for management. Sorry, there's a comma missing there. No good to work for. Management try to bully you because they think they can, because there's so many immigrants there. They have no respect for anyone. 24th of February 2020. We have from the 27th of November 2019. There are a lot of foreign people working here that do not know their rights. And that's exactly it. That's what I was talking about a while ago. Having this pliable, easy, ship them in, ship them out, quasi-slave labor force. They don't know their rights. They're just trying to get their bit, what they can, and keep the head down. They don't know their rights. Whereas if they had to deal with Irish people would walk in there and go, they would stand up to them, basically. And they would collectivize, which a disparate bunch of foreign staff who can't even speak English won't do. So this person says, harassment, bullying, and intimidation. It is an Irish company. Most of their management are foreign. They don't seem to like Irish staff because they know their rights. Precisely. I mean, that's what this person said in November 2019. So I don't know why I have Serena's meme here. If Serena's in the chat, Serena, what's up? Yeah, it's a cool meme. Bin, Keelings, grow your own. It would be one thing if you had to boycott like MacBooks or something. You know, there's only so far you can go with that. But berries are the easiest thing to grow by yourself. It should be a lesson. They should be inspiring us. Grow your own. And if you have to, buy from another brand, who are probably equally bad, but at least just to stick a point to Keelings. And fuck these guys anyway, just in general. You know what? Don't forget it. List of enemies and all that. So what else have we got here? Keelings hits back at planners over stalled development. This is February 2019. Horticultural company Keelings is in a standoff with planners over its proposal to build temporary accommodation for hundreds of fruit pickers in North County Dublin. That's what you do for shipped in quasi-slave people, is you build temporary accommodation. I don't know if that accommodation is kind of like prefabs or shipping containers. I can't say that because I don't know that, but maybe it is. You know, come on, temporary accommodation for fruit pickers. What do you think, right? It has insisted that accommodation plans it has drawn up for 200 seasonal workers, skilled seasonal horticultural astronauts, are suitable, and that it does not need to add extra bathroom facilities despite demand by planners to do so. They won't even give these poor creators bathrooms, right? Extra bathrooms, the necessary ones that the law requires. Unreal. The firm's annual turnover exceeds 300 million. What is wrong with these people? How depraved, how low, how scroungery, how scumbaggy and beneath any kind of respect can these people be? I don't want to start calling them vermin and cockroaches because that's a bit too far. But, you know, you make your own mind up. And what are their names? What are their names? These Keelings. Who are you? And why do you hate Ireland so much? Why do you hate workers so much? And why are you so against trying to contain a global pandemic in Ireland? Are you against it? Because your actions come across that way, lads. Caroline Keeling. Caroline Keeling. Who's Caroline? Caroline. Yeah. I mean, I could bring her over here. Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, if I was trying to bring thousands of migrant workers over here to what do you call it? To keep my plantation going, to pick crops for me, crop picking plantation workers for Caroline. Do you know what she reminds me of? Here we have. Oh, where is it? Stay with me, lads. She reminds me of this woman here in 12 Years a Slave. Yeah, checking this her slave's mouth to see is she fit and efficient for work. Fit and efficient for work. Nice and cheap. Nice and efficient. Let's check your healthy so we can get the best labor out of you. That's where we're at. That's what we're talking about, Caroline. The Irish people simply want you to respect our efforts as normal citizens. We're not millionaires under a global pandemic with extremely authoritarian laws where our movements and our rights are severely restricted. We expect you to respect these constraints the same way we do with your merchant business, with your merchant plantation. That's what we expect from you, Caroline. Caroline? What's her name? Yeah. Caroline Baskin. Yes. That is shocking. They are really, really disgraceful and contemptible lowlifes. So what else have we got here? What else have we got here? So here is where they're arguing about building bathroom facilities for their quasi-slave labor force on the plantation. Here we have that. We've seen that. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, he says, is it true, Ryanair, Dublin Airport, we cannot go to the funerals of our loved ones, yet companies can pay to fly in hundreds of workers from abroad to pick strawberries? Leo Varadkar, stop this. I'm not doing this to dispute. For the sake of every human being on this island, stop. Stop. Conor's woke on this stuff. Conor gets it. Conor is saying it like it is. Do you know? He is. He understands that this is a war against working people in Ireland. He understands that it is a grave health risk to the Irish people who are doing their best to socially isolate themselves, to socially distance themselves. But these merchants, these gombeans that are the Keelings, are flying people in from Bulgaria. They can't socially distance their exploitative labor practices. They can't do it. They can't do it for a few months. Scum. And I think Conor McGregor understands this very well. It seems that way anyway. And I think he has the Irish people's interests at heart here. And he's sharing this post from Pamela Flynn. And Ryanair step in here to say, as usual, "Hi Conor, this was a charter flight for a private company. Ryanair complied with all regulations set out by EASA and the WHO, the disreputed WHO, discredited WHO on these flights that are supporting essential work to help the Irish economy." Now, I think Conor might say it here. He says it at some point. Picking strawberries ain't essential work. I'm sorry. You tell me about nurses. You tell me about electricity grid maintenance, essential work. Gotcha. Accepted. Grand. There are quite a few things that are essential work. Picking strawberries, to me, doesn't sound like essential work, right? And anyway, if it is essential work, get some of us to do it, right? Pay us the proper amount. Pay Irish people the proper amount, and they would do it, right? That is how labor, supply, and demand works. Very simple. Conor says, "Thank you, Ryanair. The letter posted is from a member of your staff in fear of her and her colleagues' safety. It is necessary and gravely dangerous to those working that job, as well as every inhabitant of this island, to fly in strawberry pickers at this time. Please stop." Someone underneath says, "Why couldn't they just use Irish people to do this job? And you will have, of course, Strawberry Gate." Yeah, strawberry slaves forever. And it's like, yeah, you'll get the economists coming in. I have the glasses. They're like, "Wow, actually," and they come in and they have this logic where it's like supporting what Keeling said. It would just be impossible. We couldn't do it. It is gumbinomics. It is a complete worldview that is completely locked in. And I would say it doesn't. I don't know, like maybe they've tricked themselves, people who argue this stuff. I think they're ultimately just kind of in league with the Keelingses of the world. If I was running a 300 million euro strawberry plantation, then, come on, a few of them get together, they're able to lobby and push for a certain line from the economists and all of that. Oh, there's only one way you could ever get strawberries picked. You would have to bring in Bulgarian people on a plane during a pandemic by charter flight. That's the only way you can do it. That's what they'll tell you. If you suggest another way, if you say, "How about we just increase the pay for Irish people, right? And we make the working conditions a bit better, and we do a marketing program and stuff like that, right? We blah blah blah." They go, "Oh, it's just impractical. It's pie in the sky." They'll tell you. That's what they'll tell you. But what they're doing isn't pie in the sky at all. Bulgarians in the sky. So that's Conor. I kind of want to see what else Conor's been saying on this stuff. Conor, what a legend. So we've seen that. And what else is here? Campaign for Leo. Look at these people. I just want to look at this to just hone in on these people. I don't know them, but I mean, look at Caroline. Owen C says Caroline Keeling owns a nursing home. I was looking at that earlier. I couldn't quite understand the evidence for it, so I didn't want to bring it up because I need to verify it myself. I need to take a bit of time to look at it, so I know. But it's been alleged, and apparently there's evidence going around that they own a nursing home, which would also be no, that picture was not taken today. While she asks, this picture is from some other time. It's just to emphasize this whole, big business, Leo. And I know a lot of people could be in a picture with Leo Varadkar or whatever, but these people are especially close to, the levers of power, the policies which can facilitate this import of a kind of a de facto slave class to work on their plantations, right? So while I know anyone could end up in a picture with Leo Varadkar, this, they probably know him. They probably have his phone number, right? But like, it just makes me sick. Like, I wonder about Caroline, right? And this is the thing that always bothers me. It always bothers me is like, for example, if you ever go into some kind of cafe and you see the workers who are like unhappy looking, and you see they're unhappy, you see the place is overworked, you see that like there's only 3 staff on when there probably should be 5, and they're annoyed, and they don't get paid for their lunch break, and the manager is probably such an arsehole to them all the time, and they can never have a good work environment. They're always stressed and they're always unhappy, and they're probably paid as little as possible. Very often those workers are foreign as well, actually. And sometimes you will have the Gombeen owner of this place sitting in the corner just kind of watching them. And you'll see this kind of stuff sometimes, like, and you look at them and you just think, I bet they've never done any work ever, hard work, physical work, never felt what it's like for day in, day out to be drained by this physical, difficult work, and not only drained by the work itself, but the indignity of it. They don't get respect, right? Especially these foreign workers who don't speak English. That's why they have them, because they don't have that. This is it. They have these people because there is no requirement to respect them. And if they had Irish workers, both in salary and in other ways, they would be forced to respect their workers, and they don't want to do that. And I look at someone like Caroline, and I see her as that Gombeen cafe proprietor in the corner, just kind of eyeing his staff, to see if they're standing for a second to rest their legs or to rest their back, just watching them and complaining about everything, even though they're not a good manager of their own. How many times do you think Caroline has broken a sweat? Why doesn't she go out on her plantation and replace one of these Bulgarians and do it herself? That's my problem. Anyway. Strawberries. Well, yesterday was broccoli and now it's strawberries. It really just pisses me off. This is the kind of thing I despise. And they have in between workers. They have a green room says she's working on a Gombinomics. She's going to have to use Gombinomics in her videos. Yeah, I didn't come up with that. I stole it, I think, from Patriot, Real the Patriot, or some account like that on Twitter. An excellent account. Someone says Gombilism, like globalism, Gombeenism. Yeah, I like to say Glombeen, Glombeenism, but it is just really bad, and they should be named and shamed as people, as a company. And I also think the Irish government should do something. I mean, it's just hard. What are you meant to make of this government? They're not going to help. They should step in. Leo Varadkar, show us, actually, no, never mind. I'm not even going to ask. Just never mind. We'll do it ourselves eventually. So yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I did want to have a look at Conor's Twitter. The only person who seems to care. The only person with clout, getting PPE for hospitals like a boss, which is, people can say that's a PR thing or a press op or whatever, but do you know what, he's doing it. What else does he have to say on this subject today? Conor said the same thing. Strawberry picking is not essential. Exactly. Our airport and seaport personnel are what is essential. They are being placed in danger here, bringing in close to 200 unmonitored labourers. At this time, it is just not necessary and gravely dangerous. I wish he would pick up on it. Not that he'd listen to me, but just this whole idea that it is a slave, quasi kind of de facto slave situation we have in the country. You see it all around you, right? That's what immigrants are for to these people. So anytime they tell you about diversity, or they tell you you're racist or something like that, wear it as a badge of honor, right? Don't wear it as a badge of honor, but understand what that is. That is an attack. Someone says, find the Sinead O'Connor tweet. I'm kind of signed out of my my own Twitter here. Oh, I'm actually not. Hold on now, lads. Sinead. Sinead, I tweeted her last night. I said, I'll show you. Bear with me, lads. She's just so silly. So silly. So wagon-esque. So finished. So just whatever. Because, and I don't mean to hate on her, because, whatever. She's her own person. But let me just, there you are. Check this out from Sinead O'Connor. It's the kind of thing we're dealing with. When I read this from Sinead O'Connor, do you know what I had to think was rear view mirror? These people are increasingly becoming rear view mirror material. That's all they are. It's like, get out of my way. I'm not arguing with you anymore. You're wasting my time. You're uneducated. You're ignorant. You're finished. That's what I mean by finished. You are finished. You are done with. This conversation is over. You just don't understand, or there's something wrong with you, and you're just living in a 10 years ago mentality that was wrong at the time anyway. And it's just like, the times have changed. We're done with you. We're moving on. We're moving towards the future here, and you clearly just don't know what's going on. Here's an example. Sinead O'Connor, I think she's passive aggressively referring to Conor McGregor's activity on Twitter, right? His patriotic activities. She's like, man, I just get pissed off about people going on about immigrants. Always full of gaslighting excuses. Gaslighting excuses, as in, if you say, basically the gaslighting excuse is like, if you say, I have a set opinion that you're castigating me for, but I'm not evil. I'm not a demon. I just think it makes sense in this way and that way. And that's the issue. She would say, oh, that's gaslighting excuse. Just admit you're a demon. It's like, no, I'm not, right? You just don't understand anything. You are silly. You're dumb. Saying they aren't xenophobic when they clearly are. We ought to be grateful any human being fleeing for their life thought we were worth coming to, right? Always with this silly stuff. Everybody fleeing for their life. And I, as I said to her here, I said, yeah, because all immigrants are fleeing for their lives, Sinead, you absolute thumb. Because she's behaving like a thumb. And I'm sorry, if you behave like a thumb, you're going to get called a thumb, right? You're going to get treated like a thumb. And, sorry, excuse me. But the other thing I notice here is like this guy, here's a side comment for you. One of the top comments under her thing, right, was this guy, Gary Dunn. And I've picked up on him before. He's like, there are a few ideas as ridiculous as Irish people complaining about migration. We kind of went a few places. I'm so sick of that. We went a few places. Yeah. That doesn't mean that Bulgarian de facto slaves should be shipped in on a charter flight during a pandemic to pick fucking strawberries, right? Sorry. That doesn't follow, Gary Dunn. Also with Gary Dunn, he's you look him up. He's involved in all of this kind of state kind of stuff to do with like the Irish Cultural Centre and all this, right? As in, he's basically a regime guy. And you'll always see him. He's one of these people who in there straight away with the like, should we go all over the world? Yeah, we went to Australia. Never mind that, right? That's silly and bears no relevance to this situation. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And if you're on the side of Keelings and other slave de facto, or I'm trying to come up with a way to say this, what I view as a slave operation, in my opinion, a plantation. If you stand with plantation owners, then get the fuck out of our way, right? Gary Dunn and Sinead O'Connor. Sing your songs and wished, and let Conor do his thing, and don't be annoying him. Yeah, so that's just my take. It's like, yeah, I talked about Keelings and all that, but it's just these kind of people who try to like interlope in the middle and try to say, oh, why are you being like racist? What you're saying is very bad, and la la la. It's like, it's one of these situations where, do you know, there's one here. There was a time when there was one of these free speech protests, right? And there was this, he wasn't a scumbag, he was like an IRA guy or something, right? Just to let you know, I'll tell you a little anecdote here. You may have seen this. I took a video of these basically scumbag kind of like half, not even rahead, like wannabes, who had been like attacking someone at this protest. And I ran up as the guards were arresting this guy, and it's my legal right. I wanted to get a video of the guy, snap him as he's being arrested. And I was doing that. And they'd been beating people up. They had been attacking people. I was completely not only legally entitled to do it, but I was in the right. I was basically the good guy in that situation, right? Against the guy who's been done on gun charges, a scumbag, getting arrested, right? I've forgotten his name. That pure wabag, right? Who had just been assaulted someone. And this woman, it was on the street in Dublin, parallel to Grafton Street, right? There's all these people doing their shopping and their nice furs and everything, right? And this woman, this middle-aged boomer kind of woman, comes up to me and she's like, do you really need to be doing that? And she's kind of castigating me for it, right? And I'm after running like 200 meters. And I have people probably trying to attack me potentially that day. And I'm trying to get this video because it matters. And my eyes are trained on that. And I have guards trying to shoo me away. And I go, get away from me, guard, I'm taking this video. And then on top of all of that, I have this woman who has no idea what's going on, right? You don't know what you're talking about, lady, right? Who's in my face talking to me, and I barely paid attention. And I went, yeah, I was just like barely speaking to her. I just went, yeah, just go away. Yeah. It's like, and my feeling, I have the same feeling with Sinead, was like, I don't have the time to explain this to you. We're in the right. You think there's something wrong with it, but you only think that because you don't know anything. You don't know what's going on here, right? So maybe just learn some humility and be quiet until you actually have a clue what's going on, or at least try to figure it out, because you're not on the right side here. You think you're on the right side coming at me? You're so not, and you need to get woke, basically. And that's my feeling. It's just like, it's the same thing with that lady. It's like, I'm not even spending the time. Just go away. Just go away. I'm busy, okay? I'm not explaining it to you. Just fuck off. Just get out of my way. We're trying to do something important here. Someone says, don't say boomer. Are you a boomer? I'm sorry. No, it's okay. But like, you're whatever. Okay. I will say boomer, and I apologize if you don't like that. But yeah, it's like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to just step aside. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to hate you for it. You just are completely you're in the wrong sphere here. You don't know what's going on. So just get out of the way. We are on the right side of things here. Absolutely no doubt about it. We are against plantation owners here. Scum plantation owners. Anyway, I'll leave it there, I think. I will leave it there. Thank you for joining me, everybody. I will be back tomorrow. News is moving fast at the moment. Developments are happening. Things are going on. And that's what the crack is. So tomorrow, join me. And I'm sure plenty more will have happened by then. In the meantime, I think people are getting unsubscribed from my channel. I might be wrong, I don't know, but I get that feeling because I've had it done to me as well. I know people do get it unsubscribed. So whether you've been unsubscribed and you were before, or whether you haven't subscribed, please do just go down, hit subscribe. I would appreciate it deeply. And you know, I don't know. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.